Hi. به آفتاب سلامی دوباره خواهم داد. به جویبار که در من جاری بود، به ابرها که فکرهای طویلم بودند، به رشد دردناک سپیدارهای باغ که با من از فصلهای خشک گذر می کردند، به دسته های کلاغان که عطر مزرعه های شبانه را برای من به هدیه می آوردند، به مادرم که در آینه زندگی می کرد و شکل پیری من بود، و به زمین که شهوت تکرار من درون ملتهبش را از تخمه های سبز می انباشت سلامی دوباره خواهم داد. می آیم، می آیم، می آیم. با گیسویم ادامه بوهای زیر خاک، با چشمهایم تجربه های غلیظ تاریکی، با بوته ها که چیدم از بیشه های آن سوی دیوار. می آیم، می آیم، می آیم. و آستانه پر از عشق می شود و من در آستانه به آنها که دوست می دارند و دختری که هنوز آنجا در آستانه پر عشق ایستاده سلامی دوباره خواهم داد. Who am I? We all ask this question from ourselves, from each other, one another. We know this question. We ask this question a lot. We feel...
Elan, what's up with you?
Sorry. We feel this question even. Even we don't ask it by words, this simple, but we feel it. We ask it differently, because we ask it from a lot of ways, and we look for the answer. Amanat. It's the name of my grandmother, my mother of mother. I did not know her name, but I asked my mother, what's her name? My mother said, Amanat. But I heard other people were calling her mother of someone, obviously. Wife of someone, obviously. She was very little when she lost her mother. It's somewhere in central Afghanistan, and her mother died. And she had few brothers older than her. And very little, she started playing the role of this missing mother, this, very quickly. And very soon, she got married. She was forced to get married, as traditionally, the sooner you get married, the better it is, or maybe the best it is. So, without really having a supportive woman, but she herself was playing the role of a big woman inside, in the family, also in the society where she was born. Very quickly, she started having babies, but since she was working in the field, she was giving birth also the same place she was working. This was the story that she herself told me when I was a child. She said, a woman is strong. A woman doesn't cry. I was maybe a little bit older than you, but I was strong. Woman has to be strong. Woman is strong. She was telling me, she was also explaining me how it is strong to be. She said, woman has to be ready for any circumstances. Woman goes out in the morning to work and come back she goes to the work one person and comes back two persons. I was not understanding what does that mean. But she said, woman has to be wise and prepared for any situation. So this was the way she was giving birth. Standing, she didn't have time to lie down in the field. So she was just taking out her trousers, bending, and the child was falling down. And she has things, because woman has to be wise and ready for any circumstances. She was cutting the cord, plant it in the earth, maybe breastfeed the child, and comes back exactly the way she was telling me, two persons. Her life was by itself a story. I grew up listening to it, part of it by herself, like this, woman is strong, and how woman is strong, obviously with her life experience. Part of it I heard by my mother and my aunts, who told me how her life ended. 4 or 5 first children, they were all boys, precious. It's precious to have boys. And the first child who survived was my mother, a girl. Even God didn't like a girl to take her from her. So she survived. After my mother, 4 more girls. Yeah. And then she was sad that God is punishing her. She doesn't deserve boy. The child who are coming, 5 girls, a lot of girls. And at the end of her last years of her life, the village were calling her old crazy lady who lost her mind, because she was not even wearing a foulard, scarf. Maybe it was the way of protecting herself. And she was a widow, her husband died, and she even went to a mountain. These are real stories my mother told me, because she heard it from my aunt who witnessed this in the village. She went to the mountain. He said, God doesn't take my life. I go there. I hope a wolf eats me. After 10 days or something, she came down. She was desperate. Even wolf didn't come to eat her. The village children saw her and said, oh, that crazy lady, old lady, she's still alive. So she goes back to the... And after some days, few days, she comes back. She comes down again, desperate. There was no wolf to eat her. That God forgives her. After a few days, in all dignity, she died, in silent, peaceful. And that was in my aunt's house. Tajgul. She called herself Fatima, because she became religious at some point. Before that, she was not. They were traditionally maybe religious, but more or less that generation, nobody religion was not so important. But my mother, it was more social norm to pretend even, to act you're religious. So it started with that. She called herself, she changed her name. But she didn't have those days an ID that you put your first name and last name. So she called herself Fatima. And that was my mother. She is my mother. Since she was the biggest child, from very start, she started playing the role of this missing boy in the family. She was called strong. Her father was telling her all the time when she was very little, "You're not a girl, you're a boy." My mother, whenever she was telling me, I was very little when I was hearing those stories. I could see literally the light in her eyes when she was telling this story. I was strong. In the morning, I used to go to work. And I knew her mother was ill. So there was always a baby, one after another was giving birth. So she said, I used to take that baby, the last baby, so make sure her mother doesn't suffer. So she used to go to work in the field to be the breadwinner. And she was holding the baby, one of the babies on her back. This was like when she was telling me those stories, the images were like she was telling me like the stories of a hero, like bright time of a kind of, without putting name on it, time of resistance. But when her father, whenever wanted to admire her, always said that the amount of work you do, the way you do work, is like a boy. I have a boy. I'm proud of you. Soon, this girl had to get married, and she did. Forced two more, but she knew she is breadwinner. She was sad for that, leaving little children behind, all girls. Well, those days, traveling from one village to another there was motorbike and car or something. But my mother said first travel she did was she had her first child in front of her. And they has to go from Lal Sarjangal, from the village. She was born and was married to my father, which was like the village, the next village, very close. So the way from there to Kabul, it was around 1977. My father decided that I want to have children and another life, a different life. You have to go to Kabul, a big city. So she said the first trip, the beginning of this trip started. Kabul used to be looking like the way you go to New York. So from there, she said that I start this travel. First time traveling, it was on the horse, but not till Kabul, till Bamiyan, because it's very deprived. It's Hazara ethnic is very deprived from other parts of Afghanistan. It's an ethnic who have survived, who could, at least like my great-grandparents, they survived the genocide that was, let's say, started in late 90s. So yeah, till Bamiyan, and then after that, they took. We were on the way to Kabul, and then first two child was boys, and then the first girl was born in Kabul. It's another generation compared to my grandmother or the life of my mother. There's always fear of that. Any pregnancy, the fear is if this one is a girl, what would I do? What would I do if it's a girl? The first girl, 2 months or 3 months, she gets sick. In the morning, my mother said to my father, before he goes to work, she said that, look, she's very sick. My father was going away and said that, tell me when it's finished. And he goes away. After a few hours, she's dead. She could be cured, but who cares about the life of a girl? So she just died. Then, yeah. Then my mother, she gave birth to a lot of girls, 6 girls. I'm one of them. Girls. She grew up in her own, with her own sibling, fear of having girls. A lot of girls. Why there are girls? Girls are just there to eat. Girls, they're not there to feed, but they're to eat. They're to aid to the worries, to the dignity of the family, yeah. And then herself, in me, one of them, myself, Kubra. My name is Kubra. It means great. When I was born, my mother, she told me, no one wanted to name you even. But giving name is an honor. Somebody in the family who is naming a child. So, yeah, she said nobody was giving you a name, and you were left without having any name. And she said after a few days, I myself named you, and I named you Kubra. I don't remember that ever. I could understand back those days what does that mean, because I saw that there are some other events that we see how we celebrate when the boy is born. So that was not quite, I was child and I wasn't understanding, but so, so since I remember myself, there was always being the way of like not obeying properly, obeying like being in the right path of the way I was educated. Like my mother tried a lot because she was in charge of educating me. And I'm talking about also my sisters, but in my case it was quite particular because I think among my siblings I was beaten up more than all of them. That was, yeah, a lot. Everything was costing me. I heard it a lot that I was not a good girl. So, yeah. But this was not fault of my mother. She tried a lot to educate me. And yeah, even when I was learning prayers, I was praying. I was praying a lot. The time of praying is like maybe 5 minutes, maximum 10 minutes. But in my case, it was going like 30 minutes, 1 hour or something, long. What I was doing, I was praying in my own way. It was a choreography. Bending, lying down, exaggerating the poses and everything. I had a good time praying, I could say. And yeah, I was exercising even religion in my own way. And whenever, for example, my siblings saw me or something, they were like, scandal. She's doing things differently in her own way, bad way. And I was also drawing a lot, painting a lot. I liked it. I had my head always somewhere else, imagining it. I was even feeling guilty for imagining other things, other ways, other way of being, other way of thinking. Yeah, I was thinking that, yeah, I was taught, that was my education. Thinking differently is a sin. You're guilty. I was feeling guilty for thinking differently, thinking life, I wish life was different. But yeah, I grew up, obviously. I grew up and I questioned my mother when I was close to getting my period. It was hormone growing, recognition of my body, exercising it. I asked her, who gave you the right to give birth to me, to give birth to 6 girls? Obviously, I didn't ask. I didn't blame men in my family. I blamed her. It's easy, you know? It's easy to blame always women. Tell them that. Why? But it's hard to raise finger on patriarchy, on who rules. So, yeah, I looked in the eyes of my mother and asked her, who gave you the right? Her aunt answered me I thought that she would kill me or she would like slap me like always in my childhood, but no, she didn't. Instead, she told me I was a happy woman. I was all in my health, and why not to give birth to all of you? It means to be grateful to the God that has given you the health. And a good husband I had. He was always going to work. Do we had enough to eat? She was thinking about it, or she didn't want to tell me. But the fact that her husband was going to work, he was responsible. And she was all in health. Like she has hand and she has her feet. And that was enough. To be grateful to the God for this much of health and give birth to 6 girls. who are blamed for everything. Everything. Literally everything. Yeah. The age that before seeing the blood of your period, you are way before that. You're signaled, you're threatened, you're frightened about the little bit blood of the day of the night of marriage, the virginity. I hear it, or the value of it, from way before even knowing that one day I would be bleeding because I'm a woman and I have a uterus and I will be having my period. More than that, we educate girls that don't climb on the tree, don't jump, don't run a lot, don't open your legs because you may lose your virginity. We signal women, we signal girls like that from very, 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 very early age. And it was quite there was a lot of elements to understand that in the house, where we call house, what is the value of woman or the girl? While I always say woman, I mean girl, women in all ages. Where is her value? She is definitely considered as property of the patriarch, the father. If not the father, the male of the family in any position. So, yeah, like domestic animal, the same. Marriage, and immediately it's like a question of marriage in the life of a girl arrives very quickly, and you have to, this is when you question a lot. No matter in what age you are, you question a lot about that, your responsibility as a married life, giving birth immediately, right after, without even questioning. And there, where you feel about, without having even any utile, on dit utile, any, let's say you don't need to have education of that. Look, you are in chain. Look, this system is patriarchy. Look, you could be free. No. When you leave it, you feel it because you're human. When you're in chain, you feel it somewhere that this doesn't work. This is how I am not equal to the other. So you feel the chain. Even by growing, the chain grows heavier, bigger, and yeah. But do we do, literally, I always say it, here where you feel as a human, even being in chain, do you leave? Do you not feel anywhere that you can draw hope? You can feel differently? You allow yourself to think differently, to feel differently? There are other things. Curious? You're curious. We are curious. Even being under the chain, you feel that, the difference. The difference. Maybe far, maybe even there's a class social difference. Maybe there is like a neighbor who is richer, less girls, let's say. Let's say, yeah, it's different there, and you are here. Or maybe even without having any reference and model, you feel injustice. You feel it somewhere. You're not idiot. You feel it. I know when patriarchy applies, this this rule. It doesn't say that there is no it says that there is no question. This is how it is. But do you really live that? Do you really accept that? I don't think so we do. We imagine differently because there is also other forces that we have, sexual power. That's why we oppress it maximum, we kill it from the beginning, and it escalates to recognize anything that relates to women sexual desire. That doesn't exist. Women don't have. Men, boys, not men, boys, have a Satan inside. We call it in society. It can stand up anytime. But the girls, no. The girls even doesn't know anything. What does that mean? Girls are good. Yeah, this is how we raise girls. This is how we raise boys as well. We allow, we give recognition. But do we really kill it? Sexual desire, I'm talking. We may hide it, we may ignore it, but we leave it. We oppress it, but we leave it. It comes out in many other ways. Yeah, somewhere women gives hand to another. This was where, when I was telling my mom that I'm looking for different things. I want to, so this was out loud, I was announcing what I was imagining it, what I was seeing different. So there has to be, by putting money aside, I don't know, in any strategy you have to prove yourself. One day like that, living that life, you can never say that, oh, I'm a rebel, I don't want to, I say no. No, it looks like a film. No, it's not reality. You have to prove yourself. You have to live that opposite. You have to prove in every possible step, you have to find your way. You have to prove yourself that you're good enough, you're qualified, you can, and money is changing. And somewhere we listen to each other. Even though patriarchy gives medal to other women to be against each other, to fight, to kill other women, to run, to be a competition, to be better women, to be good women. We shouldn't see it through the eyes of women or by the women. Women do that. Women don't do that. Maybe they accept this medal that we kill other women because if we want to win this medal, this prize, they do it. It's by through the eyes of patriarchy. It's by them. They don't play sometimes. They put others. Others are in charge. Why not women themselves? Freedom. That was something I was looking for, without even putting the words on it. You look for, you search for it, because all other things were enchaining and enslaving. What is opposite? What was that you were feeling all these years in this time? The freedom. Artists should have freedom. I was artist. I was always calling myself artist. So I had to, something was required, and that was freedom. But I was thinking that freedom is only when I don't, I'm not married, and I don't have to cook for a man, somebody called husband, or having someone, a typical life basically that I should have, I'm supposed to have, and that's it. So the thing that I was looking for, the thing that I imagined and built that image was life of an artist. There was no one should exist that dictates you, tell you what to do, what not to do. That was not working. That was not working. For that, I needed freedom from this. Freedom for not getting married, not to being changed by someone who is called husband. And that freedom happened. I went to university. I achieved what I wanted. And other life that I was imagining it. Beginning I didn't know, but I start like drawing other life. Then there was a time I came out of my own. Why? Because society became bigger. I was in Kabul. I was seeing myself an artist in my. For us, it's those years. It's New York. It's big. It's huge. Everything is there. We feel it. We were feeling this. We still feel that. We don't change. What my mother was telling me from the late 70s, that she saw Kabul, and what she heard even when she was a child from Kabul was exactly somebody in a small village, European girl, who is having image of Paris or image of New York. Ça vous dit quelque chose? You guys know it. You guys are European. I'm sure you guys have. I heard it. A lot of like these young art students who live in a small village, they call me that. Oh, New York. That is our expression, Kabul. Always. Always. Even now. Well, now it's different because this huge capital is in the hand of like a group of terrorists. Where women will be soon forbidden from breathing. So yeah, so now I was out, public spaces. I was making performances. 2023, it's in the middle of motorway. I'm performing while I am living simple things. When you live in the middle of war, what is the most precious? Obviously, the simplest things ever, having a glass of water and you drink it. That you can drink it and you can finish this water. This is precious when the bombs are running above your head. Yeah, my family ran away from Soviet war. And then we had to run away from another time because it was Taliban time. This piece was made in the middle of this motorway. I was doing simple things in a very exaggerated way. Lent, smooth, like I was not giving a fuck to what was happening around me, while I was only 15 centimeter distance to the death. These vehicles had to find their way to not hit me, and everything was out of control. After an hour, a police came, found me. Like Europe, okay? It's quite fucked up. Like go here because city, and Lahore is a quite big city, so they don't have camera, but they found me in the middle of this motorway. That was our life of like 2 generations before me. War, displacement, living in uncertainty, where like drinking a glass of water in few minutes, seconds, would be an achievement. That value raises when life is like it goes. With a click, your life can go. And this one is I'm inside of this performance. This is a suitcase that I took it from my mother's house when I was going away. When I achieved like leaving my own life. So I took this suitcase, which was the biggest suitcase, because I wanted to take everything from my mother's house and go to Kabul and start living my own life. And so, yeah, it was big and not comfortable. But for me, it was like And this object has also historically to my family and the generation, and then this time is quite, something that you go away, your house is in your suitcase. And I took this suitcase, put it in the middle of the gallery. I walked in it without knowing what will happen and when I will finish it and how it's going to finish it. No, I didn't know. I was among the public. I walked in it. I sit in it. I lock it. I zipped it from inside and I outside. Time passed. Somebody came, opened it, and she told me, "You were there exactly 3 hours." And she told me outside with this simple image that you went and you disappeared and we're waiting for it, that you managed to force us to go through like different layers of like radical feelings of guilty, feeling desperate, feeling curious, feeling like pity, feeling like so emotional, feeling like a lot of things, because we were waiting that you would come out, but you didn't. And everybody had to go because the time of the gallery finished. Yes. When you have to feel that anytime you have to move, or even you feel that you're lucky if you can move from somewhere to another place. And this piece, slapping myself like a real slap. My intention was to do it for 1 hour. I did it less than 1 hour because there was no public in front of me. Everybody left. I was slapping myself from one to another. That was, when I went out, everybody was waiting for me, that I can, at some point I stop and then they can see me, that can tell me. Yeah, and everybody wanted to tell me that what violent, that was sadistic, that was masochistic. I don't know these big terms, but when they finished, they told me that, at the beginning, because I saw the public, when it's performance, you feel the energy. They say that I was quite close to the public as well. And I said that the bodies moved immediately with the first slap, second, third, fourth, fifth, 13th. Few minutes later, somebody dared to go out, and then few little bit others. But I saw that reaction, the bodies. Do we react like that when we hear the neighbor is hitting his woman? No. We feel pity with men. We always say that. I'm talking what I've witnessed in my country. Idiot woman. What he has done. That poor husband is coming all day from work and he has to hit his wife. What has he done? What is she doing, this idiot woman? Yeah, we feel pity. Opposite way. Yeah, when it's violent in front of us, we don't call it violent anymore. We call it culture. We call it norm. We call it the way it is. It is the way it is. Other one, still navigating and questioning the social, political issues. Sexual harassment in front of our eyes. When it's culture, when we practice it, that we practice praying, we practice like going out, coming back. We see it, but we don't see it. We don't want to see it when the let's say, clearly say, when the victim reacts. Because that's against a culture, standing against a culture. Yeah, this piece is called armor. As you see clearly, I was wearing an armor. It's a feminine armor. I made it right size of my own body. And it was a walk in the middle of the the most crowded neighborhood, like very central downtown Kabul, where like it connects all other parts of Kabul to another transit. It was like a performance face to face with the real public themselves, and thousands after like few, even 10 seconds, like attention, and very successful performance practically. But I ended up that it cost my life almost, the consequences. Something shockingly, I faced it, that it's been taken or perceived totally in another direction. And yeah, this is how I was lucky. Everybody is not lucky when we live somewhere that the question of your life is threatened. So I ended up in France, in a lot of like in other like urgent procedure. I was lucky, and this performance is called From Sunrise to Sunset in Paris. Walking barefoot in Paris in a very situationist walk, and holding or keeping all I could bring from Kabul. I ran away. I didn't come like making suitcase or going to as an artist, raising my head and say that like the way I do. Today I come from Paris. I made my suitcase and I come. I was invited by IMPAKT, and then I had my everything like, yeah, I had my head this way. But there I broken and under the like a lot of shock. I came out, and I could bring things that my roommate, she managed to, after 2 weeks, she brought to that place that I was moving. I was hidden, and there was a few pieces of clothes that don't even. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of clothes in France. Why she gave me those? But it says something when the objects become precious. She was thinking these pieces are important for me, so she wanted to take things that I bring with me, and I brought, and this was those. When you live in such an urgency that you have to leave everything, and you have to feel that you are lucky and privileged that you can take your life and save it. What remains behind? What the value it has? No value. Country, families, relations, loved ones. You leave everything, and you go to a direction that you know your life is rescued. So yeah, this walk was like to ensure that 15 hours of walk in a way, and where your feet is going, and your feet is like touching the surface of this. You landed a month before with everything that you have, everything material where you have on your head. Another performance. This was a performance that I was walking in the footsteps of Walter Benjamin, an artist who had to run away. Who knows, he was a thinker, he was a philosopher, run away from Nazis because he was Jewish. History repeats. I was a woman, Hazara woman. I was an artist. I have identities. Woman, I was Hazara, Afghanistan. This is also a statue that I hold it. I fight for it. I shout it today. That and the things were aided. I was artiste exilé, exiled artist. You see, these statues, these names, these identities, the time and context force someone. It's not that in only the gender, that the sex that you hold and you come out of the vagina of your mother. It's also other layers. politics, history, war, that threat, like reasons that threaten someone, a group of people. And I was walking on his footsteps in the border of France, Spain, where he was caught by the Spanish police because Europe was collaborating with Nazis. And he was caught and then he committed suicide. But his footsteps were marked in that border. And they invited me because I was fresh and newly exiled. Yeah, artists are talking about history. We leave traces. Artists have this responsibility to narrate, to talk, to say what's happening in her time, what's imposed, what is threatening us, what's killing us. We have to talk about it. We have to express ourselves. I was walking in footstep, but not walking this way. I was walking backwards because the reason is something that will carry us. The pain will carry us. I think I will keep this trauma of the fact that I had to be. I repeat and say I'm lucky. Look what's happened to my country, and that I can today come and talk. I can make art. I can continue living my life of a woman artist, refugee, exiled. I can name and yeah, I was looking backwards. The reason that forces someone to leave one place to another place and think and be grateful for that. And I don't talk about the guilt that you leave behind. Family, loved ones, others who have to suffer still the war. I'm talking about Gaza, those who can flee and those who can say that, okay, I was just lucky, but look, my family is under the bomb. Such situations, history repeats, unfortunately. And me, artist, since now almost 10 years now, I keep working every day. I'm lucky. I am an everyday working artist. I have this liberty. I look for identity here. This performance, I made it in different cities. I am drawing my own shadow. It's a few hours of drawing. The light is changing. I keep drawing with stones, my shadow. I try to look like French woman. That I keep passport. I have passport. I have French passport. I'm the same. But do I look like? Do I act like? Am I accepted? These questions are through this putting stone one next to another to prove yourself, to try to find yourself, to try to prove who you are. Still prove who you are. That continues. The chain repeats another time, differently, in a bigger scale. Yeah, I live in a life in exile. I'm suspended. I was walking for that 15 hours in Paris with bare feet. Did I feel it? Really? I'm not sure. Maybe that's because I still have not found my roots in that country, here in Europe, where I'm grateful, where I'm thankful, I'm calling myself lucky. But I look still the way I was walking in the footsteps of Walter Benjamin. I'm looking back, my country. I'm building a relation, different relation. I hate it. I love it also, for different reasons. Yeah, I try to hold myself. Am I finding? Am I making it? I travel a lot. Sometimes people misunderstand me. We just meet me like that. You Latino? Are you from Japan? Are you from Korea? No one tells me I'm from Afghanistan. except in dating apps. Whenever I say that Tinder, I'm from Afghanistan, person disappears. Because I'm from a very, very fucked up country. While I have my boobs out, my hair, and I think, okay, she doesn't look like, she's probably Latino because she's not shy. So you see, there are people can like, there's other ways of having, like finding that, oh, you identity. It's, this question is quite interesting. Still, who am I? Who you are, you know? Yeah, sometimes you shout through your work that who you are. Maybe you feel that others are shouting on you who you are. A refugee who has come from totally another unknown land somewhere else, who makes us, who is frightening us. But sometimes no, we brought other ways of like looking at the what the narratives are from her, where she comes from, and somehow it's also like this question of who you are, who am I, is quite repeating in my life, in my work, which is my life. There's no different. The way I told it, like in my life, start like questioning it, who am I? And the way I looked for the answer. I'm not sure if I found the answer yet, but I am sure I question it a lot, and still questioning it a lot. Thank you.